Hi guys. Since I've been doing so many videos, well, not so many videos, 2 videos on the Asus product, I figured I'd go into more detail on the motherboard that I did end up with and have been very happy with. Um, as you all know, about 6 months ago, and I'm terrible with time, but 6 months ago or so, I had the Asus X99 Deluxe motherboard and had no end of problems with USB devices. I have a lot of USB devices, iPads, sound devices, microphones, all sorts of things. And it would just simply lock up and fail to boot. It would just hang at a BIOS code. And the only way that it could be resolved was to remove USB devices. Well, with an X99 motherboard, it just wasn't good. So enough about that. You can see the videos in my channel if you'd like to learn more. So I got fed up with it and did some research online and went and picked up this motherboard, which I'm currently using right now to record this, the X99S SLI Krait product. And it has been rock solid. It has not had any problems. I have not been overclocking it. And I figured I'd go into some detail about the features of this motherboard and why I'm, very happy with it. So let me go over the basics really quick, and I apologize. I'm going to read through some of this stuff so you can, know exactly what you're getting. So this does have on the back, it has a PS2 mouse or keyboard plug. Right next to that are 2 USB ports, 2.0. It has a clear Cmos button on the back, so if you're overclocking and stuff like that, you don't have to tear your case open. You can just hit a button back there and it'll clear the Cmos for you, which is really handy. Like I said, I'm not doing any overclocking, so I haven't used that. But in the past, when I have done overclocking or been tweaking USB settings, like with the with various motherboards, it's really handy to have that outside of the case. It has a group of 6 USB 3.0 ports on the back. It has another USB 3.0 port for a total of 8, and 1 LAN, 1 NIC integrated in the motherboard. And then it has optical out, SPDIF, and then your typical 5 3.5 millimeter jacks for sound. And that comes with the, I believe it is the Realtek audio, which, is serviceable. It works. I've often wondered whether getting a separate sound card is really necessary or not. And one of the things I have discovered is that most video games with Windows 10, if you use the SPDIF optical out, the Toslink, you will not get 5.1 sound in your games. You have to use the 3.5 millimeter jacks to whatever system you're using to get your sound. I have a Bose 5.1 system attached to my rig here. You can see, one of the speakers right there. And using optical, I was unable to get 5.1 digital to play in my video games. I then switched over to the 3.5 millimeter bayonet jacks plugs, and then ran that up to my Sony amp that does DTS and Dolby Digital, and that runs 5.1 just fine. Armor 3 is great with 5.1, and War Thunder as well. War Thunder doesn't support it. Well, it does it. It just really isn't that noticeable, whereas in Armor 3, they really make it noticeable. Okay, on to more of what's going on with this motherboard. So you have 8 total slots for RAM, so 64 gigabytes is no problem. I'm currently running 32 gigs. DDR4 RAM, so it's going to be slightly more expensive. They do have some overclocking features on here. I'm not using them. You do have the M2 Gen 3 by 4 storage options here. I'd love to hear more from you guys and anybody who is using M2 and how that's working for you. Is it better than an SSD? Should I move my Windows 10 boot system from my SSD on the C drive to a M.2 C drive and see faster performance? I don't know. Let me know, guys. It does support 3-way SLI for Crossfire and for NVIDIA and AMD. And of course, it has your standard stuff. I mean, you've got your PCI slots. It looks like there's 4 of them plus 2 of the mini PCI slots. You do have a total, it looks like, of 12 USB. That of course assumes you have 2 on the front. On the back, you have 10 plugs. So there are quite a bit of USB ports. I, on the other hand, have 3 USB hubs floating around this whole system. Each of them have 8 slots on them. So I'm using, 24 USB devices because almost all of those slots are filled. Hence my problem a while ago. SATA Express, that is on this motherboard as well. It does have, it appears, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 SATA type connections. And then it has 3 SATA Express in addition to that. So you've got plenty of room for doing your RAID configurations and things like that. So my system is running Windows 10 64-bit, 32 gigs of RAM, 2 SSDs, one's a gaming drive, one's the boot device, and then 2 4-terabyte hard drives, which I use for more of my static storage and storing videos and Hyper-Vs. I do work on my rig, so that is e-commerce consulting, things like helping people sell products online, Magento systems, Google Analytics integrations, things like that. I also game. So Arma 3, War Thunder are the big ones right now. Just getting ready to jump back into Elite Dangerous and check that out. I'm running a single 980 Ti and running the Thrustmaster Cougar, or I'm sorry, Warthog. You can see here the Fanatic steering system along with DSD Designs button boxes, 1 on each side, and a Sim Instruments display here. Track IR5 up there. Have my HI 500 headphones here, and everything runs rock solid. Like I said, I don't have it overclocked. The chip that I'm running right now, let me tell you what that is a 5930K at 3.5 gigs. That's 6 cores, 12 V cores, logical processors, I guess is what they call it. L1 cache 384 kilobytes, L2 cache 1.5 megabytes, and L3 cache 15 megabytes. Pretty good rock solid system. I have had 0 problems with it. No boot issues. Every time I go to reboot it, it works just fine. And that was not the case with the Asus motherboard that I upgraded to. So that one, I actually upgraded from a Gigabyte motherboard. And if I recall, I believe I had some USB problems with this one getting older or aging. And that kind of pushed me over the edge for going X99. I kind of had wanted to, but that pushed me over the edge to make that happen. So this was the GA X79 UP4, and was a good solid performer. One of the issues that I had was I was running 780 Ti's in SLI, and running iRacing, one of my other favorite games. The 780 Ti, after running an hour or 2 of endurance races, all of a sudden the screen would freeze. I'd still hear sounds. I could hit the brakes and I'd hear the skidding. I could change gears and I'd hear all that, but the screen would be frozen. So I thought it was the motherboard, but in fact it was not. It was the 780 Ti configuration. So I switched up to a 980 Ti and can't be happier. It runs really, really solid. So that, guys, is all I have for the X99S SLI Krait edition. Highly recommend it. Been a rock solid performer. So far has been, I would say, in the last 4 or 5 motherboards that I've had 2 or 3 X79s, 2 X99s, the Asus and the MSI. And this MSI motherboard has impressed me quite a bit. I would recommend it to anybody looking for a good X99 motherboard. And by the way, guys, if you guys are doing overclocking on it, drop me a line. I'd love to know what you are doing for overclock. And since my rig is water cooled, I do have a CPU water cooler, one of the boxed one. I didn't custom roll it. I'd love to know what kind of voltages you guys are running and get some success information about that, because I don't know, I might dip my hand into that, but you know, if it's not too aggressive. Thanks, guys, and keep on gaming.